I actually mentioned Monkey King is one of the heroes that FYKU banned out, and I think QsQ is one of those teams that does a good job of doing the research and banning out not the standard heroes, not the heroes that are most scary in the metagame right now, but the heroes that teams like to pick. We saw them ban out both Kinesis and Warbeast as blind bans against the returners. So that's something interesting right there.
Oh, man, speaking of the returners, of course, if you missed yesterday's matchup, boy, oh boy, do you have to check that out. I do apologize. Unfortunately, it's not up on Honcast just yet. It is currently up on our twitch.tv/VOD section if you really wanted to watch. But by the time this is all over, it will be up on the Honcast site. So, but yeah, definitely check that out after these matches today if you haven't, because that was quite the series. The returners versus TTE Sports. The returners looking very, very good there. And, of course, winning the series 2-1 over TTE Sports. That was something. But, yeah, you're definitely right about Q Squad and the blind bans that they put out. So, obviously, doing the research there. So, good for them. Bombardier Pharaoh are going to be their two locks on top of the Bubbles first lock. And then we had Plague Rider and Keep the Forest as follow-ups here for FYKU. So, nothing too out of the ordinary. The Bombardier, a little bit different perhaps. But we actually have seen him every now and then here in the lock pool stage and even picked up a couple of times. So we're waiting now on the final lock, of course.
Yeah, and what's interesting for me is not only did he ban Monkey King in the blind ban, SQY, but he also banned Dark Lady, and I know Dark Lady is one of their favorite heroes to run.
Yeah,
just
true.
in general. And there's that final lock of the Voodoo Jester yet again. They just really, really love that Voodoo Jester. It's a strong initiation tool, like early on. The cask stun is very, very strong.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't do any damage, and he doesn't do any burst damage, but obviously the Curse of Ground can be very effective against hard carries or tanks, or if you do manage to land that.
Yeah, it's you think of a signature hero for several teams, for most top-tier teams out there. For Q Squad, the first one that comes to mind for me, and I'm sure most out there, would have to be Voodoo Jester. It just really seems to be a hero that they love, where other teams, they just don't even care to run for whatever reason. So SQY, though, does play a great Voodoo Jester, and no doubt has helped them be successful. The banning phase, of course, beginning here. We got Tempest thrown out first, followed by Nymphora, and, of course, going to start picking up here between these two teams, and then finally we'll enter the regular picking stages. Fade to followed by Jeraziah, so it seems like SQY knows what he has in mind to actually ban here. But, yeah, can't wait to see, again, what happens here in game number 1 between these two teams, really, especially with FYKU. You said it, they tend to run some maybe different things with their lineups. We haven't really got a lot of chance to cover them. When they were in the Summer Championships, and I believe they're also in the Redemption Tournament, I think we might have covered them maybe once or twice, but, it's been a while now. So I am curious once again to see what they're really all about. And like I said, they really do control their own destiny. They win today. They defeat the returners tomorrow. They will finish third place. So that's got to be a cool feeling for them. Draconis going to be that lock, or that ban, and then Glacius, the final ban here.
Yeah, so that's leaving out support a Luna. Really, that stands out to me as kind of a first pick. I'm going to see what FYKU does. They do have the first pick, and let's see what they do now. One thing I want to mention is lots of junglers are banned, and I know QsQ, they feel very comfortable running a jungler, specifically Parasite, sometimes Tempest, and sometimes Keeper. But with 3 of those banned, and then the other one locked, of course, that's Keeper of the Forest, FYKU does have first pick out of that lock pool. So I'm wondering if they can take QsQ out of their comfort zone a little bit by taking that first pick and then not allowing them to have a jungler.
Yeah, that could definitely be some strategy coming out here from Shizor, actually, of course, the captain for FYKU. You do see the first couple of picks coming out here, though. Silhouette is going to be the first pick coming out for our Legion team. Then Pebbles Aluna, followed up from Q Squad over here. So, of course, a strong start for both sides. That Silhouette pickup, again, just really a go-to carry here on the competitive scene, especially when you have your Dark Lady. And it seems like Dark Lady and Draconis really are the two that we see banned really most nowadays on the competitive scene. Tundra going to be the follow-up. Wow, yeah, so even Tundra is still on the board as well as that Pebbles. That was picked up by Q Squad. Not too often you get to see that here in the regular picking phase, but
yeah, I know. And Pebbles Aluna is such a strong combination. We saw that yesterday being laned by the returners in mid, and it's just so powerful. Very little can stand in its way unless you have something like a dual range, like a Silhouette plus. In this case, you'd have to have some kind of long range, and most of the options are gone. Maybe a Torturer, and that's about it. Maybe Engineer. You could maybe do Empath too, but I'm not sure FYKU really does run that, especially when you pick Tundra. Normally do want to see that mid. Of course, it can go Actually, Tundra's pretty versatile. You can go any lane, really. You can go Suicide, you can go mid, you can go bottom. They are going to go Torturer, though, so I'm hoping that's a support Torturer.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm pretty sure it is.
It makes sense, of course, as you're kind of saying there, really with them needing a support, and you look at that pool, that lock pool, and unless you want to first pick that Voodoo Jester, it's you kind of do need that support. So probably is going to be support Torturer. The final pick, wow, a little bit different there. But Nox is, again, not exactly sure if he's going to be playing that, but Puppet Master going to be picked up by QsQ here. It's been a while since we've seen a Puppet Master on the competitive scene, Trove.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he does have late-game potential if you build him correctly. And they go with Keeper. I'm really happy to see FYKU go for Keeper. Again, I think it's going to take QsQ a little bit out of their comfort zone. They're going to have to run 2 dual lanes or some kind of pseudo-tri lane. But you can't really do that effectively with... you can kind of do it with the Voodoo, but you definitely can't do it with the Plague, because Plague just doesn't fit in that role as a support in a tri-lane. So I would expect that Voodoo to be picked, no doubt, by QsQ, and then maybe something like a Bomb or a Pharaoh is my guess. But nonetheless, I love the Keeper pick from FYKU. But, yeah, to answer your question a little bit more, Puppet Master, he can lane... The thing is when he received a nerf a long time ago and his passive ability, let me just check this out really fast. The Whiplash. It did receive some nerfs to its base damage. It added some damage to you. Now it doesn't do that. Now it just simply adds the critical strike. And that's when we saw him really kind of fall out of the scene. He still has carry potential. It's just not the same.
Yeah, it's definitely a hero that definitely went through some nerfs. I mean, he really was the meta game for a while even.
Right.
I mean, it was Puppet Master, and I think Soul Stealer even were kind of like the two that you would always see, at least in every single game. But they finish off strong there. Voodoo Jester and Bubbles are actually going to be their final 2 lock picks out of that pool, and then Plague Rider coming out strong here for FYKU. So, I mean, I look at FYKU's lineup, and honestly, I see it's close to that God tier lineup that you like to refer to every now and then, especially with complexity and whatnot. But they got Keeper the Forest, a passive jungler, to go with a Silhouette Torturer lane, Plague Rider Suicide, Tundra mid. So, or I guess that could be Plague Rider and Torture, or Tundra, maybe switching it up. But anyways, you get the point right there. So a very powerful lineup actually picked up by FYKU over here.
I think they're going to have to lane it a little bit more crafty, though, because if you look at the lineup from Hellborn, I feel like they're going to try lane bottom. They're probably going to have a solo Puppet top, a solo Bubbles mid, and a tri-lane bottom with Pebbles, because they're going up against a passive jungler and Keeper. And that means you can do that. Yes, they're going to probably have dual range bottom, but it looks like, actually, now that I see FYKU VN Sensation on Torture, he bought that Guardian ring, so maybe that tells me they're going to lane things a little bit differently, and that's good. I think they need to do something crafty, like maybe a Plague Rider Silhouette top, and then a solo short Torturer. That would probably work best, because if you really look at it and take a second to stop and think, okay, how are they actually going to lane this for QsQ? How do they think we think we're going to lane, or something like that? And it really does seem like it's going to be a tri-lane bottom with a solo short Puppet.
Yeah, gotta love the mind games that go on, of course, here on the competitive scene. So yeah, very interesting though. It seems so certain, but you're right. I mean, FYKU seemed to have the similar thinking as you did, of course. With that, maybe we need to do something a little bit different. If this was your normal game, then sure, we'd have the Torture support, the Suicide Plague, but Plague picking up the Ward of Sight, as you said, Torture with the Guardian Ring, so very likely going to be a farming Torturer, and Plague Rider is going to be that pure support instead. It looks like FYKU is ready to go, so now it's on QsQ, and then we'll be good for resuming and seeing exactly how the lanes are going to start to be setting up at least. It looks like QsQ, they are going to head towards the bottom lane as a team. Bubble is a little bit straggling, but he will eventually join them as well. But all five are going to be heading down here, so if you are FYKU, you need to be very weary of that and very, very careful not to get caught out. But Plague Rider and Torturer are heading top here for the Legion team, and Keeper the Force going into the Hellborn jungle, it looks like even. So they're going to run a pseudo tri-lane top, Silhouette solo bottom.
I like this actually a lot better, even than the suggestion I made, with Plague Rider Silhouette top, and then Torture in the short lane. The reason being, if you're up against a tri-lane, you don't want Torturer there, because Torturer will get dove over and over.
Yeah.
And they can do that because she's so squishy. And Torturer doesn't have any kind of escape mechanism, so susceptible to ganks down there. So if anyone can evade those, it could be Silhouette. Obviously, we talk about all the time, too, is even if with a hard carry like Silhouette or Magebane or Dark Lady or what have you, you'll still find your farm eventually if your team can open up the map for you. And so laning this dual lane top with Plague and Torturer, that's a very strong dual lane. You're going to have the deny effect, and once you get level 2, you're going to be able to spam constantly between the Plague, Nuke, Contagion, between whatever spells Torturer decides to go.
Yeah, it is interesting to see how it's shaping up here. I'm a little bit focused on this Puppet Master and the skin that he's using. It's a weird skin, man. I haven't seen it too much. I mean, obviously we never really see him on the competitive scene anymore, but let alone in the competitive game. So it's a freaky skin. But I know the attack animation though for it is a little bit awkward too to get used to. So I am curious to see who is playing. Of course, Nox is playing the Puppet Master. But yeah, the lanes are setting up in the end as expected here for QsQ. They are going to have that aggressive tri-lane bottom. And, of course, that means Silhouette will need to be very, very careful. But you've talked about this many of times. You know, Silhouette is definitely a hero that's sure. If she gets locked in early on, it sucks. But she can and very likely will recover if you give her the situation to. So it's not the biggest deal in the world for FYKU, and it's almost forced to kind of do something a little bit crafty as you keep going back to. With the lane set up, QsQ, though, going to make a quick adjustment here. In fact, in the middle lane, Tundra, a lot of damage coming out. The double stun already happening. He is going to be fine in the end, but shows you right off the bat, QsQ, not afraid to use abilities, even at level 1 right here.
Yeah, and even though Luna's now coming, but their stun is on cooldown still for, and actually just showing herself, Luna that is, in mid, it's kind of meh. But Voodoo's going to find his way up top. It's going to be a Voodoo and Puppet lane, not the strongest against a Torture and Plague. Here's the one thing you got to be careful though when you're Plague Rider in a long lane, is when you deny so much, see how many creeps they're going to have to go against. If they stand up too far, okay, you need to get back. Yeah, that's smart. But sometimes a lot of teams, yeah, actually the stun does come out onto Plague. I don't think it's going to be enough. And unfortunately, it's a little bit of wasted mana, but there he has a mana potion. And SQY is going to raise his mana up a little bit, and never mind. So they find. The thing about that long lane when you're a Plague is you have the potential to get to take a lot of creeps because you deny so quickly. So they remedied that problem well, and they're going to have a fine lane up here. Torture and Plague Rider in a dual lane against this. They have the spam potential, so they will be fine. Bottom lane now it's turned into a favorable lane for Silhouette. Yeah. So the switch up, I mean, to begin with, they had like this weird tri-lane to start bottom with Bubbles, and that's very awkward. And now they're switching up. Of course, Aluna Pebbles mid, that's always strong against Tundra. He was very aggressive early on, and he actually got some good creep kills, but now that Aluna's here, he's going to get very little. But the big X factor always is jungler.
Well, again, you got to give the props to FYKU here. They were the ones that ran something completely different. You look at this lineup, you think the lanes, just from a generic point of view, would be so obvious. QsQ, they very likely thought that too, but FYKU said, no, we're a little bit smarter than maybe you think we are. And we actually do have some experience, and they're using that right now with the setup that they started with, and it did force QsQ to make the exchanges. And as you stated, this bottom lane especially, Silhouette, Bubbles, we talk about that from time to time, it seems like, and yes, Silhouette usually and should come out on top of that matchup pretty effectively. So FYKU, ultimately their lane's looking to shape out pretty well right now. Of course, Tundra, don't expect them to win this middle lane by any means, but hey, staying alive, at least getting some levels, the good thing. They do have a jungle, of course, Keeper of the Forest, that passive jungler, and he's going to be getting some experience, and naturally the overall experience is going to be in favor of FYKU because of that. So yeah, great start for them so far. We do see some initiation here in the middle lane. Tundra taking some damage, but the double stun happened and not nearly close to death. So, again, the Hellborn team QsQ, especially in this middle lane, not afraid to use their abilities, but not getting any kills out of it, and Tundra's back to full life with the health pot regeneration right there. So,
yeah, Keeper of the Forest is going to get free farm in the jungle, and he actually opted to go a different build than I normally see. He went for an early Ring of the Teacher. Normally I just see a massive Ring of the Sorcery rush. And also, you know, you have a Ring of the Teacher being purchased on Torture. Of course, they're in two different lanes. But it is one thing to think about. If you're grouping up and pushing as 5, obviously that goal is wasted. But there's a lot of split pushing in the metagame right now, so it's not the biggest deal. Top lane, I assume that it's going to get kind of crazy here once the levels start going up. You know, Torture and Plague, they do have lots of bursts over a long period of time. But Puppet Master, the crowd control is there with Puppet Master and the caster from Voodoo. So they have to be careful. I think both lanes really do have to be careful. And did I see a very early Talisman pickup from Silhouette? Maybe he's going to go for a Grave Locket. It's kind of interesting. We normally never see that, but still a good item.
Yeah, he's those are Ninja Pew's items, and yes, he is playing that Silhouette, so definitely interesting. Not often you see that at all. Of course, there is a new item, Sacrificial Stone, that can be made from that, but it is technically available in tournament mode now, but it is banned for this tournament. So
do these teams know that?
I hope they were. I know for a fact that they were told, several times. So I would hope they're very aware of that. And but even then, I mean, the sacrificial stone on Silhouette, that is just kind of weird. So like you said, I mean, a Grave Locket, it could be a solid item. Silhouette is one of these carry heroes that tends to use a decent amount of mana. So not the craziest thing when you think about it, but it's definitely different here. Coming out from Silhouette and picking that up, but the Grave Locket is being delivered, so interesting start for her indeed. Something I want to bring up though, and this is something that you talk about a lot, is that if you're a team that has the hero Pebbles, you want to make sure at the very least he's having a good start. And right now, Style on Pebbles is having a great start. 290 gold per minute. He's 28-13. Definitely leading the game right now. In fact, even defeating that Silhouette and Creep Farm. You just see at the bottom lane, Bubbles took a lot of damage right there. Wasn't able to show herself out though, but that's of course the great news right now for Q Squad is the fact that Slate does have an awesome start here, or Style, excuse me, has an awesome start on Pebbles. They're gonna chuck in the middle lane, but again, Tundra, he just sits back and takes the damage.
Yeah, Pebbles does have an empty bottle right now. Hopefully they're able to secure that next rune for him, and then he'll really have a good time in this lane. But yeah, you mentioned he's the top farmer in the game right now, actually, at 32 CS. And of course, Nox on that Puppet Master, not quite as high as Silhouette when you compare those two. But he has to work with against the deny from Plague, and that's always annoying. Keeper of the Forest, it's going to be a matter of how effective and how active can he be. And actually, he's already looking to push his bottom lane against Bubbles, and might get a little bit of damage. I don't know if they're going to fully get the tower, because of course Bubbles is great in that regard. Because look at right there, you can just spam out the wave. It doesn't spam it out completely, but it does definitely hurt that lane a bit, and not going to be able to push it to their full potential.
Yeah, we do see again a little bit of damage going on the tower, but definitely not going to be tower killed just yet. We'll have to wait a little bit longer. So Keeper of the Forest, you see a power throw even coming out, so obviously they're aware that maybe a Luna is also nearby. Puppet Master, a hero that, again, we don't see really anymore on the competitive scene. But I am curious what you think in terms of, first off, it's worth noting her build. She is 131 currently, so maxing out the Puppet Show, actually, as her first ability. You get a lot of CC from that middle lane. We have a possible kill coming out. Stalagmite, the double damage. Pebbles, is it going to be enough? No, the turnaround from Tundra! What a turnaround from Shizor right there. Bloodlust kill coming out in favor of FYKU. Shizor holding his ground, and somehow turns that around on a Style.
Words cannot describe. Okay, maybe they can. Presence of mind, Bricky. That was such a great decision by him. He knew he couldn't run away. The double damage Pebbles obviously just does so much damage. And that was just so well played and calculated by Shizor. Gotta give him credit.
Yeah, that was huge plays indeed. So that of course is big. You see their pause is going to be coming out here, but give us a little bit more time to kind of recoup after that. I'm sure Style needs to recoup after that. That was the last thing he, of course, expected to happen, I'm sure. But great turnaround definitely from Tundra. So he had to go back to base, sure, to regen, but now he's heading back mid. And, again, still Pebbles is having a fairly good time despite that death. But obviously Tundra will gladly take that, and he can start using that towards his earlier items. But Puppet Master, again, what I wanted to talk about was what kind of build do you expect to see on him? It looks like he's going Steam Boots first, but do you think an Assassin Shroud is still the item to go here first?
I theory crafted about this so much, and I still don't have an answer, really. Did they take the pumpkin heads away on the soldiers, by the way? I don't see any. Maybe my game.
Maybe it's because of the pause.
Okay.
Anyway, sometimes happens in pause. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's get to the important things.
Oh wait,
guys.
the middle lane
Pumpkin
they still have
heads.
them, so I don't know.
I think, okay, there's a number of different builds. I see a lot of people go, I don't like Ghost Marchers on him. I think you benefit greatly from the attack speed, proccing that Whiplash as much as you can. So I definitely want to see the Treads, or the Steam Boots, which he's probably going to go for. What we normally see is a Whispering Helm to Assassin Shroud, or even just straight Shrunken Head. And he's definitely going to need the Shrunken Head here against the Keeper of the Forest. Also, in the late stages of the game, things like Geometer's Bane actually work really well with him.
Yeah.
You can disjoint things. Your illusions will proc that Whiplash. Won't do as much damage, but it'll still happen. And, of course, things like Hellflower, Sheepstick. It definitely has the capability to carry late game, but he requires a lot of farm. Now, Puppet Master is a hero that can farm quickly with that Whispering Hell specifically. You dominate that creep, you stack your Ancients to be triple, and in fact, QsQ is already doing a good job of stacking. You got a triple stack right there, and, well, that's really the only one. But nonetheless, I'm sure once he gets his items up, there will be stacks available for him, and that will increase his farm. Top lane, Bubbles has ported, maybe looking for a good gank here, and he should be able to get it very easily with that kelp field.
Yeah, you got level 6 Bubbles coming in, so Torture's in a lot of trouble right here. There goes a Comfort that actually catches both heroes right there. Torture is dropping quickly. He's still somewhat alive, but he will fall in the end. Curse of Ground applied to Plague-Rider. Good job by Voodoo Chester right there, actually going for Plague-Rider instead of the sure dead Torturer, but still, it's not going to be enough for a kill into him, I don't believe. Yeah, it's just only level 2 Cursed Ground. So Plague-Rider will be fine in the end, but the Bubbles, level 6, he's not doing too much at the bottom lane because of that matchup. Might as well go to another lane and set up a kill. So good job right there coming out from Bubbles, being played by Jonas and Fan, of course, a great suicide role player himself. And tying it up at 1 hero kill apiece. But look at the middle lane now. Keep it the Force win for that early Ring of Teacher. But he does have a Ring of Sorcery now. Pebbles coming in, though. Tundra in a lot of trouble. Out comes a one stun. There's the combination. In comes Bubbles with a Shell Surf. And down goes Tundra. So made an awesome, awesome turnaround earlier. This time, absolutely no chance for a turnaround. Keep it the Force was already falling back. So a couple of kills happening. Big part of it because of Bubbles. So that's a good job for him roaming around here.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of really conceded this bottom lane, and there comes a point in this lane where you just have to do that, where you just simply cannot deal with the, sustained auto attacks from Silhouette, and so he's smartly roaming around the map and finding kills, and that's exactly what you have to do.
Now, I am still a little bit baffled by this sacrifice, or not, but the Grave Locket pickup by Ninja, because he's not even really using mana either, and you would think if he was maybe spamming abilities, going to the jungle to use mana, it makes sense, but he's not. I mean, and the other thing to bring on that, too, is that you usually go Sustainer into Nullstone. Of course, the Mana Tube applies a decent amount of mana regeneration, so I don't know. I mean, does it baffle you still, or are you just, is it fine for you? I don't know.
I think it's just fine. We might see a gank, actually. I don't even know if they saw Keeper of the Force go in this.
No.
But this could be a good kill onto, well, Pebbles or Bubbles, but they obviously see Bubbles. Bubbles knows something's up because he's getting blocked, so he's going to run away. And they mitigate that gank onto Silhouette originally. But the Grave Locket, I don't think it's that bad, even just by himself. Obviously, the upgraded part is now available, not in this tournament, but it just gives you a little bit more mana to use. It gives you a bigger base, mana pool. And obviously, the 10-second off cooldown or your death timer is very effective early on. So the earlier you get Grave Locket, of course, one of the things on the carry, obviously, don't actually action mid. Cores gets picked off. SQY gets credit for the kill with a good gank coming out from Male and Nox.
Yeah,
and actually, wait, no, that was
a top lane. Yeah, I was watching it. It was just a case. Actually, Puppet Master uses his ultimate right there, and he was just pushed a little bit too far up. Torture just quickly fell back, and nothing that he could do. So, great gank set up. And as you said, Jonas and Fan, I believe, was he a part of that? No, he wasn't a part of that one. But Nox and Male assisting for the kill. Jonas and Fan currently in the middle lane. Actually, we're going to set something up, but Tundra is falling back. But yeah, anyways, speaking of the Grave Locket on Silhouette, they actually pushed the bottom tower right there, and they're going to keep this going. He's got Steam Boots, Grave Locket, that life too. Keeper the Force course level 7. He has a root ready to go, and the minions are out. Port coming in from Pebbles though, and with Luna already here, they're just both going to decide to fall back. But in the end, it's not the most expensive investment either. It's 735 golds. That's even less than a mana tube. So again, not the biggest deal, but I was just a little bit curious. But anyways, he is off to a great start. Silhouette is the top farm in the game right now at 334 gold, or 330 gold per minute about. So Ninja Pewee definitely doing good for his team. But style on Pebbles, despite that early turnaround Bloodlust kill, he is off to a great start himself, sitting at 321 gold per minute. So again, still some scary news there for FYKU.
Yeah, definitely. Here's actually Keeper of the Forest does get the root off on the Puppet Master. Can the stun happen? No, a very good puppet show happened on the Torturer right beforehand. Tries to stun, but it looks like it was just cast and like he couldn't stop it or anything like that. But the root does kind of save his life. They could have got a kill. There's a snipe, actually. It hits him.
The Cursor Ground just wore off, though.
Oh, that was so damn close. Very nice attempt there from Male playing that Luna.
Wow, Puppet Master, that was great. That shows you the power of an ability like that Puppet Show. I mean, Torture for sure had the kill right there setting up after the root, but the Puppet Show kept him CC'd that whole time, and you saw the really delayed reaction with the chain reaction. It wasn't even close right there. So, very, very good job by Puppet Master in the end, being played by Nox, obviously, for Q Squad, and at least saves himself, prevents a solid kill attempt, and also a root cooldown, which, isn't the shortest cooldown, so.
Right, especially at level 1.
Yeah.
Bubbles here is kind of roaming around the Ancients. Does actually snipe out 2 of them.
Wow.
Oh, that's a good gold boost for him. I'm sure Pink Curdy is pretty pissed off about that. But even before that, Bubbles actually shell surfed into the top rune, which was a haste. Grabbed it right before Tundra was able to get it. Tundra actually used the Avalanche, tried to go for a kill on Bubbles, but Bubbles quickly activated that haste rune, was fine.
Yeah. So to answer some earlier questions as well, Nox on Puppet Master. He does go the Whispering Helm first. He just ran by a triple stack, actually. I'm a little bit curious when he plans to do that. Probably just going to go to the lane, maybe push it up a little bit, then perhaps look to take advantage of that triple stack that is near him. His Ancients are still only single stacked. But as you were stating earlier, I mean, especially with Whispering Helm, Puppet Master, he's the original king. Him and Malakian are really two heroes way back in the competitive scene where, especially before there was no limit on the Ancient stack. That was just absurd. But Pebbles in the middle lane actually in a lot of trouble right here. Here comes that collapse, and down he goes. Bubbles with the Shell Surf. Wouldn't dare port in, though, especially with Pebbles already dead. There was just absolutely no point. So several gank attempts coming out here from FYKU. This one finally is successful on a Pebbles, and it will slow him. He's at 1,400 of nearly 1,500 gold, but still he's off that portal key despite having decent farm here.
Yeah, and the way I look at this lineup now from QsQ,
top lane, by the way. Puppet Master in a lot of trouble. Root comes out from the Invisible Crew with the Forest Plague Rider coming in. There's a piercing shot there. Will miss, actually. Can't Silhouette get close enough. There we go with the cold shoulders. The blocks from the minions coming out. Everyone is here, it seems like. And down goes Puppet Master. Yes, literally everyone was here for FYKU. Hell, they get a kill on a Puppet Master, and now they're going to push the top tower out of this.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, look at the Golden Experience. It's obviously working out to their favor. And it's because they just got a kill on the other important hero, which is Pebbles. Here comes the Glyph. Here comes the port top. QsQ wants to fight. Actually, the stun comes on the Torturer. A really good toss back, including the ultimate from Voodoo Jester. And in the meantime, they get a kill on that mid tower, being Male. So good turn of events there for QsQ.
Yeah, that was interesting, actually, especially with the numbers advantage being in favor of the Legion team. I'm a little bit surprised, actually, that they decided to fall back after that initiation. But again, they don't have the vision that we have, so maybe expecting more heroes to be there. But it was only Voodoo Jester and Pebbles for that time being. I really think that they could have fought that. But in the end, they decided to fall back and play it safe. Of course, Torture the sacrificial lamb, but they are going to be fine. Now, the top lane is going to be counter-pushed, however. Puppet Master, Voodoo Jester, and Pebbles are up here, and Pebbles does have that portal key now. He actually just got it from the side shop here, so it's going to be a surprise portal key if FYKU is not careful. They are not certain that he has it just yet, so the Ancients are going to be taken out by Silhouette, by the way. She's the top farmer. She's also the top experience in the game. She's the first one to hit level 11, but quite quickly, so that is, 2 levels higher than anyone else in this game. Top lane, though, we see initiation on Torture with that surprise portal key. In goes Voodoo Jester as well. There's the kill. Plague Rider, though, taking a lot of damage. Oh, the Cursed Ground on top. There's the Puppet Master ultimate. And Plague Rider, no, the Cursed Ground didn't hit, actually. I thought it was on him. But he is going to be fine in the end, so that's a getaway. Oh, the chuck from Pebbles finishes him off. I'm surprised he even had vision, actually, but good job by Style. Finishing off the double tap there at the top lane.
Oh, that was really unfortunate. I know right when he Plague Rider ported and he wanted to cast that ultimate, but Nox is really fast fingers. Cast that Puppet Show like almost immediately and really saved his team. I mean, that Plague ultimate would have actually done a lot of damage. So good job from Nox. Good job from Style finding that very good Pebbles toss on the Plague Rider and does take him out. And so this ultimate, unfortunately, needs to be used by Plague Rider, but doesn't have boots right now and is just way too squishy. Actually, both Plague and Torture, this lane that actually should have done well up top, but just too much ganking. You really got to credit Jonas and fans for that and keeping them down. So top lane for FYKU is just not working out. They do have that Silhouette who's farming well, but is it going to be enough? They're actually still in the lead as far as experience goes. Gold is identical. It's a little too early to tell. They do have good teamfight potential with that Plague ultimate and that Keeper ultimate. It's just a matter of can they get in position before Pebbles takes him out immediately.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. This is a very even game right now. Both sides have their advantages here. Tundra, speaking of advantages, he's currently in the middle lane with an invisibility rune. He spots 3 heroes, but they could have the chance here to get a jump as the result of the Helper team not knowing. Pebbles is going to jump in first. Honestly, the way in the background. Tundra comes from the behind. He's going to look to open. The Plague is passing around. Pebbles dropping quickly. The roof comes out, and Pebbles will fall. The Plague is so much damage. Bubbles goes down. Plague Rider or Luna already fell, and the Legion team, everyone stays alive. No doubt that invisible rune on Tundra helped big time as well. Completely caught them off guard, and we are going to see a massive middle push. Now, there's no way they're going to stop this. This will be at least 1 tower kill here coming out for FYKU.
And not even the fact that they can counter jump quickly with an invis rune, because actually they jumped so far ahead of Tundra that he couldn't cast his spells very quickly, but just the fact that they knew that gank was coming and that they were able to set up appropriately. And that was a huge exchange for them. They do get a counter kill on that tower top. Nox, actually, the Hellbourne gets the last hit for that. So they get something out of that, but a 3-for-1, 3-for-nothing exchange. and then tower kill.
towers.
2 tower kills, yeah, now. For them, that's a great exchange for FYKU, and they're looking pretty damn good early on in this game. And Silhouette now has enough for that Null Stone.
Well, as you talked about, I mean, just going into that fight, the gold was basically identical, and what's a slight experience for FYKU, but holy crap, look at it now, 4,000 gold lead, 5,300 experience lead here all of a sudden for FYKU. You mentioned Null Stone has just finished on Silhouette. That's a huge pickup, of course. You know, Puppet Master is an interesting hero against Null Stone. She has 3 ways to deactivate it herself, but all 3 are honestly pretty powerful tools. So it's still accomplishing a success in that sense against her. So yeah, Null Stone, but in general, of course, on Silhouette, that really seems to be the first go-to item, really no matter what. So that's a great start for Ninja Boost, especially since it wouldn't even Gravelock at first, of course. So very good start for him, and yeah, as a team for FYKU, things are looking pretty solid right now. Pebbles, he got that initial kill with the portal key at the top lane, but since then, obviously he tried there in the middle lane, got turned around on though, so that early start for style that he's had isn't necessarily paying off the most effective that I'm sure they wanted it to.
And portal keys picked up on both Keeper the Forest and Tundra, so they're going to have great initiation tools, and that's going to help out Plague-Rider a lot, because she can sit in the back now, they initiate in front of her, and then if they try to go on, like, she can just walk up there and ult instead of, like, standing out in their front, trying to find a good time to ulti, but is too susceptible to that Pebbles gank and Pebbles jump. Bound Die now picked up on the SQY, by the way. He seems to really pick up these Bound Dies very early on. It's a risky move, especially when you're so squishy.
663 life.
Yeah, he's level 7. He will die quickly. He's actually 1-0-3, hasn't died yet, but it is kind of a risky move, especially up against, well, I don't know if they know that Tundra and Keeper now have blinks. Of course, obviously, Keeper the Force is showing, does have the blink, and now Assassin Shroud is being picked up on the Puppet Master. He has that finish, so a lot of items coming out right now.
Yeah, of course, Assassin Shroud, especially on Puppet Master, has a lot of potential, specifically synergizing with his ultimate. He does have a double damage rune currently activated as well that he just recently picked up. So there's the Assassin Shroud finish delivered to him. Will they try to stop this top tower push? They get the bottom tower kill. Yes, they will. Ports are coming in all over the place. Puppet Master also going to be joining them eventually. There's a jump for Pebbles, but at what cost? Rare Pebbles jumps into a very dangerous spot. In comes Puppet Master, though. He's locking down somebody right there with the ultimate. Not exactly sure. It looks like Tundra got killed, but at what cost right there? It's so much damage coming out here from FYKU. Hat-trick coming out for Pinky Curdy, playing that keeper. Down goes Pebbles as Ninja Pewee on Silhouette picks him off, and this tower is going to fall here. FYKU is looking very strong right now here in game number 1 against Q Squad. I don't know, man. Q Squad, it's getting dangerous for them here.
I really think this goes back to the very beginning when I said of the game, is picking that keeper is taking Q Squad out of their element, getting rid of that jungle, or getting rid of that strong suicide. Of course, they did have bubbles, but it just didn't fit the same. Like, they have 2 dual lanes, and that's not what I normally see Q Squad doing. They always run a jungler. And, yeah, I think they're just out of their comfort zone. And I was scared there for a second because right when Keeper initiated in, or counter-initiated in, I should say, with that blink, he actually got silenced right away from the Song of the Sea from Bubbles and was kind of sitting there just for a second. But the Plague Rider ultimate was already activated. Good job by Kors. And then Pink Curdy with that ultimate. It's kind of funny that he was the one that got the hat trick. You don't normally sit on Keeper the Forest, but nonetheless, they have that strong T5 potential that we just saw.
Yeah, and look at the goal per minute chart all of a sudden, too. 508 GPM for Silhouette, 426 for Keeper. I mean, that hat trick no doubt helping, but he's also just been a farming machine this game. Pebbles here in the middle lane in the meantime. He is looking to get an opening onto this Silhouette. Perhaps, remember, he has a null stone, but it's not guaranteed that will stop a Chuck if you target it appropriately, but there's just too much support around, and Pebbles will actually portal key out before he gets caught in danger. So Style a little bit frustrated there. I'm sure that he thought he may have had a kill chance, but just not enough happening in their favor, and he'll be forced to fall back. Tundra now running in, but he does have the Shiver spotting out this Pebbles. Not going to jump though himself. He talked about earlier he has that portal key, but again, he doesn't nearly have the burst damage to take him out himself. Silhouette, talked about her gold per minute. She has 3,600 gold saved up. So
she just bought her null stone like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, it seems like that. It's so she's on her way to her next big item. Shrunken Head, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see that here as her follow-up if she gets the 3,900 mark, purchases it straight up. So
yeah,
it's a possibility here.
As a very defensive item, I almost think that they don't even need it. Yeah, and he's going to go with the more tanky route, actually. Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't buy that new item. But Pink Curdy actually has called a vote to pause. So they're going to pause for just a second here. But yeah, I was just thinking, like, Shortcut Head would be great, but against a Puppet Master who's trying to initiate on you, obviously it's going to have to use one of those abilities, probably the Puppeteer's Hold, to get off that Null Stone. I still think that just having a shrunken head is not the smartest choice. Just being more tanky and or having more damage might be the better route, especially when you have great team fight to back you up. They have a Astrolabe also onto Torture, who's kind of taking more of a support route, just seeing how the game is going on, and that's a great decision from VN Sensation. And yeah, the team fight potential though, and the Tundra Hog, the Shiver, providing all that information with that that sight is just great for this team. Once they also get the Plague Rider up to level 11, that ultimate is going to do so much more damage. That's going to be even more deadly for SQY. QsQ.
I'll tell you this much. I mean, this is kind of exciting. Seeing a team like FYKU, again, they've been around. We've heard of them, but we don't really know too much about them ultimately. We haven't had the chance to cover too many of their games. The results haven't been the most magnificent. I mean, they haven't really been standing out. But here they are against who is rated as one of the top teams out there right now in QsQ, and they are playing very impressive. I mean, it goes back to the initial laning phase. It seemed like they were making the correct decisions. It seems like the items that they're picking up, making the correct decisions. And just as a team, their skill level, it's definitely up there. I mean, they're playing very well here against QsQ. We do see in the middle lane, Bubbles getting jumped by Tundra. I don't think it's going to be enough burst damage in the end. Bubbles should be able to, oh, he doesn't have a shell surf. He actually just used it. That's why Tundra jumped most likely, but it's not going to be enough as expected. Plague Rider running in, but Bubbles will shell surf away, and he will survive. Pebbles does have a portal key coming in, but he's might not jump himself, realizing that he wouldn't have the greatest follow-up. So, but yeah, again, and on top of that, knowing that this team actually controls their own destiny, if they happen to defeat QsQ today and then playing the Returners tomorrow, if they happen to defeat them, they're going to be third place, and they'll finish top 3. And talk about a big surprise, that would definitely be one. So, yeah, this is definitely cool in that sense, seeing a team like FYQ just coming out of nowhere, really, and impressing us. But at the same time, QsQ, they are a more and more experienced team now, and holding their own at least for now. And this is just game 1 in a best-of-3 series, so not to get too ahead of ourselves at the same time. Puppet Master, with that said, he has another 1,400 gold saved up, so Puppet Master is farming fairly well. Nox, of course, tends to do that. He's at 372 GPM now, and here we go with the triple stack Ancients. And there's that Whiplash and Whispering Helm working out.
Yeah, I really don't like, now that I'm thinking about it more and more, I didn't really like it to begin with, but the Shroud onto Puppet Master, it's not very good against a team fight team. Actually, Pebble's in a lot of trouble. The ultimate's coming out. He's taking a lot of damage, and it looks like he will fall. Chorus actually gets the last hit as that Plague Rider, so getting a little bit more gold for him. They notice actually that they're here in the Ancients. They're already been cleared out, though. Aggressive Blink coming out from Cupid the Forest. He still has that root off cooldown, so they can still fight a fight here in the bottom lane. That is the last outer tower for them. But talking more about the Shroud, actually using that Song of Sea to get rid of that Shiver, which was giving some useful information. But that Shroud is just not very strong against push and team fight teams. When you're grouping up as a team, you don't really need that ability to Shroud. Something like the Shrunken Head would be much stronger in a team fight setting.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, obviously an item like Assassin Shroud, it tends to be a popular pickup by him. I want to say, again, in the credits team he's really seen, but for obvious reasons, because of the synergy with that ultimate. But at the same time, you may be expecting to play aggressive with it and actually get kills. It's kind of like, when we talk about portal keys being picked up, you're supposed to use that because it applies no stats, to get kills with it. And but with this team fight game kind of going on right here, yeah, it makes a lot of sense how that doesn't really, it isn't the most efficient item, when it's all said and done. So perhaps a mistake there, and definitely very, very worthy of bringing that up. But another tower kill happening after that they got the kill, of course, on Pebbles in the middle lane. And the golden experience lead, it's starting to add up quite more and more here for FYKU. They're all the way up to 9,000 gold, 8,100 experience. But especially the Silhouette, just keeping a 500-plus gold per minute. Ninja Pui doing fantastic in that sense. He has enough for, he has enough for several items. Again, not exactly sure what he's going to go for here, but at this rate, I mean, he's saving up 3,000 gold, so it could just be a straight Frostal Skull, honestly, at this rate. You talked about that. I mean, him just kind of building more of a tanky style of build with still some decent damage output might not be the worst option. So would you think Frostal Skull would make sense here?
I think it would be very strong. He wouldn't do very much damage, as opposed to if he just went for a Frostburn right now and then split it up later. I think that would be the better choice. But I guess they just realized they have all the damage they need between the Torture spamming, between the Plague Rider ultimate, Silhouette's still doing decent damage. But yeah, I think it's actually a fine pickup if he does decide to go for a straight Frostwolf Skull. He's going to be very tanky, and I mentioned that's exactly what he needs in this game.
Speaking of tanky and Torture, went the Astrolabe first, now has a Shaman's Headdress, so perhaps a Barrier Idol on the way, and that could definitely prove to be useful. So that'll be good news here for FYKU and this Legion team. But yeah, Wow, we're talking about silhouettes. How about Keeper the Forest? He has nearly 5,000 gold saved up. Pinky
Yeah.
Curdy is just massing that gold. I mean, we talked about earlier as well, his impressive GPM, 426 right now. So it is, we're getting to these next tier of items here for our Legion team already. We're just only 26.5 minutes in, really. So our Hellborn side, you try to compare some things. They got a couple portal keys. Pebbles and Bubbles both have it. Shrunken Head is in the works here for Puppet Master, so that's good news. And then Aluna's actually managing to get some decent farm herself. I mean, with her items, of course, Voodoo Jester taking care of most of the wards. Though still has that bound eye, mind you. He still has yet to die, so that is some good news there.
Tundra also has a bound eye of his own, and
yeah.
it works really well with that that Shiver and even that Curl, because it can actually kill it for you when otherwise would be a dangerous position. So he's going to have that. They're going to pretty much counter all the wards. They do. QsQ does have a ward down here, kind of like towards the entrance and blocking what looks like that medium camp right there. But Shizor trying to look for some wards. He's searching down here the main spots right next to the Ancients of the Hellborn. Not going to find anything, unfortunately, so that ward does go overlooked.
Now, he purchased the Frosted Skull. He started sending the courier, but somebody stopped it, so it's just kind of chilling here in the base. A little bit unfortunate. There we go. It's going to start going now. Keeper the Forest, we're going back to base, though. He has 5,400 gold. I'm very curious. Are we going to see a Restoration Stone, a Demonic Breastplate? I mean, there's up. Okay,
wow.
Restoration Stone, straight up. Not often you get to see that on a Keeper, but, I mean, straight up that is. Of course, lately we actually have been seeing that item every now and then, but he has double root now. Yeah, he definitely has enough mana for it.
350 plus 300. So yeah, he definitely has.
Yeah, he has enough mana. That's 600 plus of that. So yeah, he has enough mana for it, and that's going to be what, 3 seconds for each one. Yeah, right now 4 seconds at max level. So that's going to be 8 seconds of rooting once he gets level 16 here. Where the Hellborn team just literally can't even move around. So that is a big deal. Yeah, that's scary news here, no doubt.
Definitely, and they're going to spot out another word. It was actually just about to fall anyway, but I think Demonic actually would have been a smarter choice, in my opinion. Just having that massive, it actually helps you push a lot. It provides a lot of armor for your team. Negative armor works well with Silhouette, and actually a lot of the team's Impalement, there's physical damage. Resto Stone is great, but like you mentioned, having that root go from 2, 3, 4 seconds as far as duration, I really think you should time the Resto Stone with when you hit 16. So, you're thinking about 6 seconds to 8 seconds, or 4, 6, 8, something like that. So I think it's most effective when he hits 16, but nonetheless, it's still a strong pickup. Just being able to catch them in a route and use your ultimate a second time is going to be strong enough. But looks like they were actually attempting Kongor, but they couldn't take it fast enough, so they're going to defend this push.
Yeah, that was a little bit funny, actually. Q Squad, they're like, all right, let's do Kongor. It was looking good. I mean, there's no vision around for the Legion team, but then they realize their top base is being pushed, so they need to get back and defend that. So Kongor not happening. Will they jump in soon? Nullstone deactivated right there on Silhouette, so no longer up. But she did finish that Frosted Skull, as I said. 2,400 life on her. She's got decent armor with that Plague Rider as well. And you got to figure Keeper the Forest is going to start applying his. So, yeah, a lot of mitigation coming out here for this Legion team in general. In fact, Tundra's going to jump in right here. There's the lock to the Avalanche coming into Puppet Master. Silhouette jumps in. Another hit comes a stun from Aluna, actually. Bubbles trying to survive, taking a lot of damage. Voodoo Jester ultimate activated, and Plague Rider will fall before he gets ultimate. There's the first root, though, for Keeper the Forest. A big dive right here from FYKU. There's the second root. Pebbles is like, are you kidding me? He's trying to turn this around. Not going to happen, though. He will eventually fall. But this is a huge dive here from FYK. They need to be a little bit careful. It's probably not worth it. Silhouette is, wow, he's going into the well. Okay, you haven't secured the game just yet. You want to still be a little bit careful. There we go. He's going to fall back. They made the racks. You see Puppet Master's going to kill Tundra.
Oh my god.
Tundra didn't even realize the bound eye drops. But they get the racks. You see Torture picking up the bound eye. And that'll be that. So FYK having some fun with it, but in the end, they do get the racks.
I mean, you got to be careful, because in a serious game, especially when there is actually a lot on the line for this game, you don't want any throw potential. They're not out of it. They're not securing a win anytime, like just yet. There's still some game to be played. So that was kind of funny. Tundra, I mean, he had like full HP or close to, but he only has 1,100 HP, and that puppet ult was still attached to him. He could have just walked away and detached it, but it actually killed him. That was kind of funny. Yeah. But nonetheless, Dancing Blade actually picked up on Silhouette, so she's going to be pumping out even more damage. And, yeah, the double ult from Keeper. I mean, despite it not being level 16 yet, or sorry, the ult being level 3, I have to disagree with what I said earlier. That just proved to be very effective. And he did a good job. Bubbles actually kelp fielded only him. Yeah. And he sat there for quite some time while the team was fighting. He couldn't blink in just yet because he obviously would have broken that kelp field and would have been stunned. So he had to wait some time. Good patience by him. And good patience by him yet again to root and then wait for the full duration for the root to actually use the second one.
Yeah, I think what made it even better for Keeper, though, was the fact that he actually all the heroes that he hit in the end. I mean, he got, I think, at least 4. The 4 that were up even at that time. So that was just very good placement by him right there. He is level 16 now. He will need 100 seconds before that Restoration Stone is off cooldown, but the ultimate itself is off cooldown. And he could actually use that, like right now, and then it would be up together, but obviously there's no reason to use it right now, so he's just going to go ahead and save it. Plague Rider didn't get off his Plague either in that last fight, so something else to keep in mind. It is only level 1 still. He's soon to hit level 11 here, though, so I'm sure. So.
Oh, that's kind of important. I mean, it still does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we saw earlier, these Plague ultimates on top of Keeper Forest ultimate, it does a lot of damage. So, yeah, it's not the biggest deal in the world because they didn't win the fight, and they're still up so much golden experience that Silhouette and the rest of the party and rest of the crew can still dish out that damage without him. But, I mean, it would just add insult to injury if you can get that Plague ultimate on top of that Keeper the Forest route.
Yeah. Definitely. And like I said, he is going to be level 11 here soon. So we'll have the level 2 version of that, and that's even more scary for Q Squad. Once again, I mean, obviously they got to start taking a risk. When you get to a point like this as a team, you have to just take some risks. And they keep wanting to try to ninja Kongor. Franken Kongor in this case because of Halloween. Shout out to S2 Games for that. But it's just not happening. I mean, they can't nearly put enough damage out quickly to even remotely come close to doing it. So obviously a very scary situation right now for Q Squad. It is still game number 1, so no matter what happens here, obviously going to that second game no matter what, but no doubt FYKU, they're in control now. They've been in control for really this whole game. You got to keep going back and giving them credit for that, as I say. So Dancing Blade purchase on Silhouette, as you talked about. I would guess that's going to turn into a wing bow here. We'll see eventually. Going to just save it for a buyback now, though, would be my guess. And here they're going to go for Kongor. Of course, now they did get rid of all the vision from the Hellborn team, so Hellborn team is pretty blind about this. I believe Aluna should did power throw, however, and there's in fact a shell surf. So a little bit of an idea that he was being attempted, but not going to commit to anything. Assassin's Shroud was activated right there by Puppet Master, but he's just going to open. You see right there, 624 crit with that Whiplash, so a lot of damage potential. Here comes the Avalanche though from Tundra. The Storm Spirit is going to be used, saving it for now, but will it be enough in the end? Another Storm Spirit. The root comes out. It will not hit him. He does have a second root though. He's doing the Restoration Stone. Can he get it off? He's getting locked down with the Silence. Where's the second root? There's the second root. The Plague Rider Ultimate's passing around. Hat trick coming out. There's the quad kill for Ninja Pewee. Will he get the Annihilation? Here's a Luna down here. And no, not going to be enough. Ports back to base, so no Annihilation coming out, but I'm pretty sure FYKU just secured the game. There we go. He's going to die for it. Oh, and he gets it. Champion of Neworth, Annihilation for Silhouette, and that will do it officially. So FYKU, fuck you, Curdy. They take out Q Squad here in game number 1 of this best of the 3 trial.
Just really well played. I liked the draft. I liked the smart laning. Of course, they did succeed in other aspects of their lanes, like mid did really well. You got to give big shout out to Shitzor on that Tundra, getting that first blood, turning that what looked like a horrible kill happening for Style, ended up being a good turnaround for Shitzor. So that really gave them the momentum I feel like they needed for the beginning of that game. Now, they didn't do that well topping with that Plague Rider and Torturer lane, but they did well in the other lanes. They had the good matchup with Silhouette versus Bubbles that forced Bubbles to roam. So a good job from Jonas and Fan, but still the lanes, they had the Keeper of the Forest also, and I really think that's the key. Banning all those junglers and then taking the only jungler that was available in that lock pool first. I mentioned that before they even did it. That was the smartest decision by them.
Yeah, you know, a lot of these lesser experienced teams, and I don't even know if I can say it, because again, they've been playing a recent event, so they are obviously getting experience, and it's showing, but the point I'm getting at is that, you know, with these unknown teams, usually it is a case of, you know, they're just not making the right decisions. The skill level's there, but they're just not making the right decisions, whether it's with lanes or hero picks or just, you know, decision-making throughout the game. That looked like a seasoned team, honestly. They played that very, very well, and I'm impressed. I'm sure many of you out there are pretty impressed by their play style, and sounds like you are as well, Trell. So I am very intrigued to see if that was maybe a one-hit wonder thing or if they're going to continue that going in this series. But of course, Q Squad, they're definitely a seasoned team now themselves. They're going to regroup, I'm sure. They know what's on the line. Of course, ultimately that trip to DreamHack Winter 2012. But both of these teams, as well as the returners, competing for really that third and final spot here in Group A. It's going to be a battle royale, baby. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with that said, guys, we are going to take a quick break here. Going into game number 2 next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.